This boy just caught a glimpse of something he was never supposed to see. When he got home, his own mother told him he had to take his own life. There's an old Japanese legend that has been passed down for generations. Whenever it rains, you're forbidden to go outside, because foxes choose rainy days to hold their weddings, and they don't want to be spotted by humans. But Away didn't take any of this seriously. The moment his mother turned around and went back inside, he snuck off into the forest alone, hoping to find a bird's nest he could raid from one of the trees. To him, the whole fox wedding story was just something parents made up to scare kids. But right at that moment, a thick fog suddenly rolled through the forest, along with strange, eerie sounds, and then a procession appeared, human-shaped figures with fox faces. Now things had taken a serious turn. The second he saw the fox procession, Away panicked and darted behind the nearest tree. He watched as the figures carried paper lanterns in their hands. The bride was dressed head to toe in white. The groom had a red cloth draped over his head. They'd take 2 steps, then pause, take 3 steps, then sway. Every movement sent chills down his spine. They scanned their surroundings with sharp, watchful eyes the whole way, as if determined not to let a single soul witness this ceremony. As the procession drew closer, the ghostly music grew clearer and clearer. Away crouched behind the tree, heart pounding, not daring to make a sound. Terrified of giving himself away with even the tiniest noise, he shadowed the procession's steps, shifting his body inch by inch, keeping that thick tree trunk between himself and the foxes at all times. He was scared the foxes would spot him, and the foxes were just as scared of being seen by a human. Just as the procession was about to pass right by him, a group of fox people suddenly turned and looked toward the tree, their eyes locked directly with Away's. Terrified out of his mind, he took off running for home. He figured once he made it through the front door, he'd be safe. But his mother had been waiting at the doorway for a long time. The usual sternness was gone from her eyes, replaced by a deep, heavy sorrow. She pulled out a short blade and pressed it into Away's hand. It turned out that while Away had been spying on the fox wedding, a messenger from the foxes had already shown up at his home to file a complaint, and had left that very blade behind, because the boy had spied on them. He had desecrated their sacred ceremony. He had to atone by ending his own life with that blade. Otherwise, the foxes would sink the entire island. The devastating news crushed young Away. He begged his mother desperately to spare him, but she didn't waver for a second. Faced with the wrath of the fox gods, even her own son's life carried no weight. She steeled herself and shut the door. Away couldn't believe what was happening. He pounded frantically on the door, but it was no use. He raced around to the side door, only to find that one locked from the inside too. It wasn't that his mother was heartless. She had grown up believing deeply in these ancient village taboos. In her mind, angering the fox spirits wasn't just a problem for one family. It would bring disaster down on every soul on the island. But young Away just couldn't wrap his head around it. Why would the mother who doted on him every day hand him over to die? Still, knowing his sacrifice could save everyone, he gripped that short blade tight, resolved to meet his end, and followed the path his mother had pointed out. Deep into the valley, wildflowers in every color blanketed the hills and fields, and up in the sky, a massive rainbow arched across the horizon. The breathtaking beauty of the scene clashed painfully with the grim purpose of the boy's journey. He knew the other end of the rainbow was where his fate awaited, the very place where the foxes lived. He clenched the blade tightly in both hands, and walked, step by step, toward the rainbow. But the moment he crossed over, the fox people from the forest blocked his path. When the Fox King laid eyes on the intruder who had ruined his wedding, he flew into a rage. He furiously called out Away's offense, condemning his spying as a grave act of disrespect to the gods. The weight of divine authority and the terror of death shattered the last of the boy's composure in an instant. He couldn't hold it together anymore, and burst into tears right then and there. Just as the king was about to order his execution, the fox princess suddenly stepped forward to stop him. She said Away was only a child, and the fact that he had come on his own to face the consequences meant he deserved a second chance. The fox princess is the most gentle character in the whole story. She represents the kindness that still exists beyond strict rules, not blindly carrying out punishment, but looking at how a person owns up to their mistakes. After hearing the princess out, the Fox King felt a twinge of shame himself, so with a sweep of his hand, he pardoned Away, and ordered his subjects to break into a celebratory dance.